So thank you again. We're joined by our local Hannaford Dietitian, Patty Wukitsch, today. Thank you for joining us, Patty. Now, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box. If it's something to do with audio or sound, I will try to answer you right away. If you have a question for Patty, she'll get to your questions at the end, but feel free to put them in Q&A at any time. And take it away, Patty. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, as Kate said, I am in the Del Mar location is one of my stores. I have 3 stores altogether. So Del Mar is the closest one to the high school and the middle school. So I'm very happy to be here today and talking about time-saving meals. Time-saving meals is a really great topic, especially now because everybody's running here and there. Yes, most of us are still home. Most of us are working remotely. I know all of you students are, as my one son is as well. So I understand we're busy a lot of the time. And with that, we're thinking we need to have meals that we want to still keep the nutrition value in our good, in our meals. We want to have something that you can make and prepare, but most importantly, in addition to being nutritious, we want it to be fast. So I am going to prepare some things toward the end of my talk to show you, and we have all sorts of recipes. There's a plethora of recipes out there that Kate has, and we will share with you at some point. So I think grades 6 through 12, which most of you are in, is a really great time to talk about cooking and time-saving meals, because if you think about it, you're probably already helping to cook in some capacity or another. Now, I know most of us, when you first are toddlers, that might be your very first exposure to food, obviously, but also toddlers are very well known for wanting to help out with food prep. So mom and dad might give them something rather easy to do, obviously not with a sharp knife. So that's really your first exposure, and then on up through grade school into middle school, really. A lot of people are doing some of the cooking. High schoolers as well are also helping out, if not preparing a meal or 2 per week and helping out with the family. So we're coming to you, you're all coming to me at a different possible point in time as far as your cooking experience goes. So everything I'm going to make today is nothing that's very difficult. It's very easy to do. So rest assured, it's not going to be a complicated recipe. So when we talk about time-saving meals, another really important reason in talking about that is the fact that, as I said earlier, we are all very busy. We're being pulled in a lot of different directions. Now, you guys in grades 6 through 12 obviously are in school, even though it's been remote. There's still a lot of responsibility there, right? Most practices, I don't believe, though, maybe some of them are starting to return, but you've got other commitments besides just the academic part of school, right? You're going to band practice. You might be going to babysit, or you might be going to a soccer practice or an outdoor track practice, for example. As I said, I know most of that stuff has been on hold throughout this pandemic. But those are times when you're going to be being pulled in different directions, and you want to be able to find something healthy to make, right? So that's going to be really important if you want to look into that. Now, cooking experience, as I said, everybody's experience is different. But whether you are home with your family or possibly thinking you're maybe at that college age level where you're getting ready to transition out of 12th grade into a college scenario, or an apartment for that matter. And by the way, if you are, congratulations to seniors, if there's any seniors out there listening. So you're thinking about, okay, what am I going to be doing now? I don't know what the scenario will be. Some colleges, I don't know what their status will be, but let's pretend that you're going to be going to a college and you're going to be in a dorm or an apartment possibly. You're going to need some specific tools of the trade, right? You need some certain things to have at your hand, for you to be able to use to cook. For example, you might have a hot plate. That would be great if you did. You might have a small microwave. Most everybody will have either a larger or a small, mid-size, or a real tiny refrigerator. That's going to be important for your perishables. And then, of course, most of us will also possibly have, maybe not everybody, those of us that are interested might have a small bullet mixer or a small bullet blender, right? Because you might need that for a bunch of other different things that we can make with that. So those are some of the tools that you'll be needing or that you could use. Even without a hot plate, trust me, when I've been at my stores, I've made quinoa and rices, and I've actually done it in the microwave. I've boiled water, then slowly added the grain, and then stirred it, cooked it at various intervals every couple minutes or so, stirring it and continuing until you know it's done, till it's fluffy. So there are ways around not having a hot plate as well. That's good to know. Also, when you're thinking about cooking, you've got the tools, you're thinking about, okay, I probably should hit the grocery store, at least for some of the things I'm going to be having, what we would call a pantry staple, right? So some of those pantry staples might be things like, it could be broth, it could be chicken stock or beef stock, and Hannaford has a plethora of those in our own store brand in a lower salt variety. But you might not have a lot of space for large cartons of broth. So another option could be, there's a couple different broths now that come in little tubes. There's some that come in like a mustard container. Herbox is another great brand, and they carry one that is granulated, and that takes up no space. And those little tiny packets come regular or low sodium in both a beef and a chicken broth. So that's another phenomenal way to have those things at at the ready when you need them and not have to worry about them taking up a lot of space. What are some other great things that you could also have in the kitchen or have in your cupboards, wherever you might be, whether that's an apartment or a dorm or in your home? You want to have some nuts. You want to have a good variety of different nuts out there because nuts are a phenomenal snack. They're a great addition to the food items that you're going to be cooking. And they're very easy, they're very easy to grab and throw in with some dried raisins or craisins to make a really nice trail mix, right? So that's also a really good thing to have in your pantry, is to have some nut stock there. And speaking of nuts, how about a nut butter of some sort, right? You might be a peanut butter lover, almond butter, cashew, some butter. There's, the list is endless with the type of butters out there. As Hannaford dietitians, we like to recommend very basic, all-natural ones that don't have a lot of extra things added. So when I talk about an all-natural Nature's Place peanut butter, I'm talking about something that won't have a lot of extra sodium, sugar, or salt, sodium, sugar, and fat added to it. It's pretty natural, and the ingredient listing will be a lot less than something like a Skip or a Jiffy, okay? So again, as you can see, I'm a dietitian. We're talking about time-saving meals, but we're also talking about good nutrition. And hopefully the groundwork has already been started for you guys to be healthy eaters already. I know a lot of the younger generation has really gotten into much healthier food options, like avocados, protein powders, things like that. So there's lots of different things out there for you guys to choose from. And being a healthy eater is going to help you throughout your life. And trust me, there may be some foods now that I even mentioned today that you might say, I don't know if I like that, or I've never tried that. Believe me, you may not like it today. As you age and get a little bit older, I can vouch for this. I have four sons. They've all started to like things that they didn't like before, if they don't like them already now. And an avocado is a perfect example, because that's something that, people are, a lot of my customers will say they don't have the right texture, they're very slimy. Once you try them, you'll find that you might really enjoy them. So keep those in mind as something that you can actually throw into a salad. You can throw them on a lot of different things. Throw them on a piece of whole grain toast in the morning for an avocado toast. So speaking of that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do before we even get to the grocery store. Okay? You all have to keep in mind that before we get to the grocery store, it involves a little bit of planning now, doesn't it? And again, if you're not driving yet, if you're 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you're not driving yet, but you might be going with a parent. And some of you, I see a lot of customers in the store that have kids with them about your age, and they're very vocal in what they want. They're very helpful. So you guys are a really good age group to hopefully be choosing some healthier options. But before we even hit the grocery store, one of the most important things to do is think and plan, right? We want to plan what we are going to eat. And how do we do that? Well, how do you plan what you want to eat? Well, one of the ways you could do it, depending on which grocery store you choose, and it doesn't matter whatever grocery store you choose, every grocery store now has their flyers online. And that's really important because you can go online before you even make your list. Check out and see what you like. What's on sale this week? Raspberries are 2 for $4. Okay, that's a great option. Or, the Cabot yogurt is whatever. So there's different, you want to look at the things that you think you're going to need. But before you do that even, what can we do? We have to go to our pantries, right? We have to go into the pantry and see what is there. What's been there, look at expiration dates. If something's getting ready to expire, say next month, try to incorporate that into your meal. That's being smart. That's taking good inventory control, right? You want to check out your pantry, see what might be there and what you still could possibly use. You want to look into your fridge, of course, and see what cold perishable items you have there, and also into your refrigerator, or excuse me, into your freezer. And when you're in your fridge and freezer, there's lots of little tricks you can do when you purchase foods that you might not be using for a while. Say you're going to make a beef stew for something next month and you found a really good price on beef cubes. Well, you can put that in the back of your freezer. You know, you've got to rotate your dates, but things you're not going to use right away, put them toward the back of the freezer, but checking your dates continually when you're in your fridge and freezer to be sure you're rotating your stock so that you're not forgetting about something in the back. We've all done it, right? We've all done it where we forget something's in there. We go and we open that yogurt container in there, we find a little bit of mold on it, right? So you want to make sure that you try to look at those things, rotate it out to try to prevent that, and also be sure to use up what we have so we're not doing any wasting of money. It's a really important one. So once you've looked at your ad, online or in person, however you or physically looking at it in the newspaper, once you've done your inventory, the next step is going to be for you to create a shopping list. Okay, and some people do this in a number of ways. I have some customers that like to put their produce first because that's usually the first part of the store that you walk into. So they may have their produce listed, all the produce and the fresh produce that they want. And then maybe they're going straight on. Most of the stores after produce will go straight on, they'll find the deli department. Or you can find a myriad of, sliced deli meats as well as all of our different cheeses, our goat cheeses, our, feta cheeses, our hummuses, all those different items there. So really people sometimes will set their shopping list up based on where they're going throughout the store to make it a little bit easier and you're not running back and forth and, oh, I missed that, I have to go back to produce, try to do things in that way. But, so that's a really good important point too. And before you even hit the store again, you've got your list made, everything is ready to go. You don't want to go hungry. What happens when we go to the store when we're hungry? We buy everything in sight. I've had customers come up to me with their carts full of a lot of things, and they'll say, oh my God, I'm starving. What do you have to eat today? Oh, that looks so good. Oh, could I have another one? And I find that they'll have a conversation with me. They'll say, I put all this extra things in. People, when you're hungry, are going to automatically throw extra things in the basket. So try to avoid doing that and make sure you've had something to eat before you venture out into the grocery store. Really, really important. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, when you usually go into a grocery store, the first part of the store that you will hit is going to be the produce aisle, right? So hopefully you've got a list of some things that you want in produce, but there's a few pointers that I can give you that might make it a little bit easier for you if you are somebody that likes to buy things ready-made. Remember, when you buy something that's already chopped, shredded, cut up, pounded, whatever it is, if it's a cutlet or a chicken cutlet, for example, anything that's got more work done to it is going to cost you more money. So keep that in mind. If money is no object and you're not really shopping on a budget, then sometimes your time is more important to you than the money at the time. So go ahead and get those pre-cut carrots, or shredded carrots or whatever item that's going to make your life easier and also at the same time make you want to eat healthy. You always want to keep health at the back of your mind. And what I have up here that's hanging down, you probably can't get a really good look at it, but it's the My Plate. My Plate is something that we all look to now for a guideline on how you should eat and what to eat to make your diet a healthy diet. Okay, they have a lot of wonderful tutorials online as well that you can access, whether you're doing a camping trip or kids tips, all different types of great things. So My Plate is a phenomenal resource to use. And it tells you that half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. So keep that in your mind when you're in the produce department trying to choose what you'd like to get. And just a couple pointers for some fast and easy things that you can use in the produce department. They do have something called, they're like ribbons or zoodles in both yellow and green squashes. So that could be an easy option for you. Something that's already pre-cut. As I said, it's going to be a little more expensive than if you were to take a couple pieces of the yellow and green squash and peel them and cut them up yourself. But it's an option, and it's a good option. Not only that, if you're a beet lover, if you happen to like fresh beets, and again, you might not like them now, but sometimes you try things in a different format or in a different food, and you find, I really like this. There's something called Just Beets, and they come already pre-wrapped in the produce department of most of the grocery stores, and those are wonderful because they're already cooked, they're already peeled, and they're ready to eat. So you can literally take that out of the plastic, slice it up and put it onto a salad, or slice it, put it in a bowl, put a little olive oil, balsamic vinegar, maybe some chopped onion, and you've got a nice little side dish of a vegetable. Beets are actually very, very sweet. And some people may associate them with, oh, when I was younger, I tried to eat beets, I just didn't like them. But give yourself the chance to try something again. Even in a very, very small amount, you might be surprised because it happens all the time. And I know it happens to my own kids. They'll find things that they never used to like, and they're like, hey, I kind of like this now, or I like the way you did this, so it made it tastier to them. So that's those are some really good pointers in the produce aisle. Another great part of the produce aisle, they also have some really good vegan options now. And this is also in the refrigerated section of the produce aisle. You'll find a lot of the different juices, all the different kind of smoothies and juices we'll find there. We have some really good palm juices and different antioxidant-rich juices that you can throw into a seltzer water, for example. But also, this is a great place to find some of your protein-containing non-meat products, I'll give you an example, such as fresh tofu. Tofu comes in a block, and it's usually in a plastic wrapping. It comes in different firmnesses. Some are better suited for a smoothie. Some are really good. I tend to like the real firm ones where I can cut those in small pieces, throw those into a stir fry. That's very easy. You can take any vegetables that you have available that are left in the fridge or left over from the night before and throw that into a stir fry, and there you've got another meal. You've got your low sodium soy sauce, you've got some great spices, you stir fry all that together, and you've got a really nice side dish. Tofurky is another great thing. Tofu makes a ton of products that are non-meat for anybody out there that might be vegan and wanting to stay away from meat products. So you'll find a lot of that in the produce section. Produce section has definitely grown over the years. When you're into the section that's on the way to the deli or in the deli on the side against the wall, you'll find some really good options as well. We've got hummuses. Okay, hummus is a wonderful high fiber, high protein snack that can be used as a snack. It can be used as a meal. Try the flavors, try the different flavors. You might not like one. You'll say, I'm not crazy about that, but I love this one. I've given an example over here. I've got a nice balsamic caramelized onion one that Cedars makes, and it's a really nice hummus. Not only is that hummus great as it by itself into a wrap or either a wrap or like a whole grain cracker, it's wonderful as a salad dressing. We've used it several times in some of the salads that we've made at the store. And one of the things I was going to mention is when you're doing shopping, try to check off things that you enjoy maybe doing on your own or try doing on your own. For example, I'm not a huge salad dressing person. I won't go to the grocery store. That's never on my list, salad dressing. Whether it's ranch or whether it's a vinaigrette dressing, you won't find that on my list. And it's a good feeling because I like to make my own salad dressings. I'll take balsamic vinegar and some nice extra virgin olive oil with some garlic and spices, and I'll whip that all together, and that will be a really nice light vinaigrette dressing. Or there's a really good article about this in the Fresh magazine this month. I've got that standing here, but you probably can't see it. But anyway, the Fresh magazine is a wonderful resource for recipes. I've used a lot of the recipes, especially during the holidays, all throughout the year. I love them. Their summer recipes are always really good. But there's a lady that talks about ranch dressing. She's a ranch fanatic, and she said it doesn't matter how it's presented. I'll dip my pizza in it. I'll dip my veggies in it. I'll put it over a salad. So she just happens to be a ranch person. But speaking of that, that's another item that you could easily make on your own. You wouldn't have to go out and buy a bottle of ranch dressing or a packaged ranch dressing. And you'll be saving on calories and sodium and fat. And one of the ways to do that is you could easily just take a little bit of your Greek yogurt, your plain Greek yogurt, and mix that in with a little bit of mayo, very small amount, maybe equal parts, or a little less mayo, a little more of the non-fat Greek yogurt. Throw in some wonderful spices, Okay, we've got some parsley, we've got cilantro. Oh God, the list is endless. I love garlic powder in my ranch dressing. I'll use either granulated garlic or a garlic powder. I'll put in some tarragon maybe. I mix it in with those ingredients. If I've got a little buttermilk, I'll throw a little of that in. And if I don't have buttermilk, that's okay. I'll make my own. Very, very simple. A full cup of milk mixed with a tablespoon of either lemon juice or vinegar will give you, let it rest for about 5 minutes, gives you a really nice buttermilk. So you don't need to go out and buy a quart of buttermilk. Because that's one of those things that we might not use a lot. So why waste it? Why not just make what you need for whatever recipe you're going to have and then be done with it? So another great thing about stocking up, and when we're going through the aisles, we've kind of talked a little bit about the hummus and what you can do with the hummus as either a creamy dressing or eating it with a meal, in a sandwich possibly with some sliced cukes and tomatoes. That makes a really nice protein-rich, healthy snack, or lunch for that matter. But when you go through and you're going down the the canned vegetable aisle, the bean aisle, that's another great aisle. That's a great place to stock up as well on things that you might need for your apartment or dorm. Cannellini beans. Hannaford makes really great canned legumes. The cannellini beans are wonderful because they add great flavor and crunch and protein, vitamins to a lot of dishes. Okay, the cannellini beans are excellent, but that's, again, they're non-perishable, so having canned goods in your cupboard is always really important. Cannellini beans or chickpeas or garbanzo beans or black beans, whatever beans you like. I usually like to have a variety, as well as kidney beans if I decide to do like some sort of a chili or something. But beans are going to be really important in that category. So you want to be sure you're in that bean aisle, in the vegetable aisle, getting some items that you need. And buying canned vegetables, a lot of people say, oh gosh, I'm on a low sodium diet. A lot of these vegetables come low sodium, and they're a really good price. Our store brand has always been a really good brand. So keep that in mind whether you're shopping at Hannaford or anywhere else. The store brands are always going to be generally really good options. Okay, so we've talked about in the bean aisle. Then another really important aisle that you're going to want to stock up on is the rice aisle. And you'll find rice, usually it's not in the same aisle as the pasta, but there's other things you'll find in the rice aisle. In addition to rice, you will find different other grains. You'll find maybe some bulgur there. You will find quinoa. You'll find wild rices. You'll find white rice. You'll find brown rices. You'll find a variety of different types of rices, jasmine rice, basmati rice, the list goes on. But nonetheless, it's important to have rice. And as I said, I've been at the store before, so every time I'm in those aisles, you'll find there's a different product that's come out. So one of the newer products that we carry in that rice aisle is this quinoa. The Nature's Promise makes a really nice white quinoa, loaded with vitamins, B vitamins, it's loaded with fiber, and it's a really nice grainy taste. It's a great, great thing to add to a lot of your different foods or as a side dish alone. But again, what I'm holding up in front of you is a package or a pouch of it. You can buy quinoa in a box or in a bag, but most likely if you get it, this is a fairly easy thing to store because it's semi-flat. All you do is peel off part of the top and you pop it in the microwave for 90 seconds and you've got cooked quinoa. So if you're not somebody that wants to go and cook it on the stove or doesn't, even in the microwave, or you just want something super fast, Nature's Promise has a wonderful selection of different types of quinoas that you can use for your recipes or have stocked in your pantry. Now, some other things besides quinoa, of course, are rices, which we mentioned, and they come in bags. Or if you're also in a hurry, say, and you don't want to cook your rice from scratch, from start to finish, you can use the pouches of rice. And I believe we have, Nature's Promise might have one of those now. We also have, Uncle Ben's has a nice pouch that you can zap in the microwave as well. So that's another great option too. But it's nice to have options. The Minute brand also has little cups of rice that come. I think it comes in a 4-pack, and you can pop one of those in the oven too and throw that into a recipe easily enough. So there are options. It shouldn't be daunting if you're thinking, I want to have rice with this dish, but I don't want to go to the trouble, or I don't have the time to cook it from scratch. That's a really good option too. Okay, so we've gone up and down the produce aisle, we've gone through deli, we've gone up and down the vegetable aisle, and then the rice aisle. How about pasta? Pasta seems to be a mainstay for a lot of us. Pastas have become a lot healthier than they used to be. We've got multi-grain pastas, we have whole grain pastas, we have a plethora of types of pastas now. We've got pea protein pastas, we've got edamame pasta. Edamame, by the way, is the soybean. We've got pastas from all different varieties now, especially for people that may be gluten-free and can't eat the regular wheat pasta. So keep in mind, pastas are also a great option to have available for you. And the store brands, as I said, work wonders. They're just as good as a lot of the other name brands. So that's a good thing to have stocked in your pantry is pastas. Not only do we have pastas that you have to boil, Rana brand is an example I can think of in the deli section, in the cold deli section, where there's several brands over there. We may even have our own store brand over there of pastas that are already pre-cooked, and you just have to heat them up. So that makes it really easy too. Say you want to make a tortellini soup, you could get the Rana tortellini cheese filled and put that into some broth and put some other spices in there, and you've got yourself a nice thing of tortellini soup. Now, speaking of soups, Nature's Promise also has a very nice brand of a variety of different dried soups. They come in bags in the soup aisle. Everything is in there. All you have to do is add the boiling water. And they don't contain any sodium, and they're a really good option for you when you're looking to find soups. I would recommend that kind of soup much more than I would the Ramen noodle soup, which is very popular. I can't tell you, as a dietitian in the store, as well as being a shopper, whenever I find young people in your age group and a little bit older, college, upper college level, I find a lot of ramen noodles in those baskets, and they're very, very high in sodium. And most of us do not need all that extra sodium. So keep that in mind. I would try to steer away from those whenever possible and stick more with something that's going to be a little healthier for you. Okay. Also, when we are looking up and down the aisles, we've gone through the pasta aisle. We're going to be hitting the bread aisle, right? Bread is really important. We all need to have bread of some sort. You're going to find a lot of the great wraps that we carry in the deli section. There's also going to be some in the bread section as well. The bread section, again, you're going to want to try to find something that's whole grain. Whole grain is going to be really, really important for you. Don't want to go too crazy and not getting the white breads. The whole grain breads are much better. They're healthier. They taste really good, and they're going to stick with you a lot longer than a white bread product would. So I've kind of gone through some of the aisles. I'm going to go through the frozen section as well. When you're in the freezer section, Nature's Promise has a ton of different products as well that you can easily put together for an easy meal. I'll give you an example. You could do a cheeseburger salad, for example. Take the Nature's Promise meatballs. They've got chicken or beef. Cut them in quarters, and you've got yourself, sprinkle some nice cheddar cheese on there. You've got yourself a nice cheeseburger salad. So it gives it a little more oomph. It makes it feel a little more satisfying. So I'm going to switch over now to talk a little bit about breakfast items. We want to go through 3 different meal items as possibilities for you for some quick, easy meals. Okay, so for breakfast, a lot of us, as I mentioned earlier, I think I mentioned if you love avocados and your avocado is starting to get a little overripe, the one I have out now is perfect. It's a little, when they start to darken, they start to ripen. I have a whole avocado thing to show you, but once you come to the store, I can show you that. But I want to explain about avocados. They're so easy, especially as they start to get a little soft. That's the perfect time to just open that up and throw that onto a piece of whole grain toast. And then maybe sprinkle a little chipotle chili pepper on top of that. That makes a really nice, satisfying breakfast idea. I make that a lot for myself. I also take oatmeal. I might stew it on a Sunday and have a week's worth of oatmeal made. I do the work on Sunday or Monday morning, and then it's in the fridge, and I can take it out when I need it. And an example might be I throw my walnuts, I'll throw chopped apples, I might throw clementines, I'll throw frozen fruit in there, I'll throw whatever fruit I happen to have available. You don't have to have apples. A lot of people say, oh, I put my apples in there. I put apples in there too, and I love apples, especially in the fall. But if they're not in season and I don't have them in the middle of the summer, I'll go with something else. I might even go with fresh mango sliced in there, but I'll throw some cinnamon. I stew that oatmeal, and I've got a nice dish for breakfast for the rest of the week. So that's one breakfast idea. Another idea that I might do is an overnight oats. And overnight oats are really nice because they're easy. You don't have to buy a special variety of oats. It could be old-fashioned or quick oats. It doesn't matter. The Hannaford brand works well, or any store brand that you happen to choose. Put a little of that in a bowl or a cup. I usually do it in a mug with a half a cup of water, a half a cup of Greek yogurt, some berries or nuts. Mix it all together, and you just cover it up with a little saran wrap, put it in the fridge, and you're done with it until the morning. Nothing to worry about, nothing to do. The first time I ever made it, my husband thought it was something he was supposed to heat up, so he did. Didn't quite have the same effect, but that's a perfect thing, especially in the warm weather as we're getting now. It's a great thing to have on a warm summer morning. You know, it's going to cool you off a little bit because you're taking it right from the fridge and bringing it with you on your way to school or a class or whatever you happen to be doing. So those are a couple breakfast ideas. Of course, some lunch ideas would be hummus, you know, with fresh vegetables on a wrap or in a multi-grain bread, however you like to put your hummus, or maybe a whole grain pita would be another idea. Shredded cheese with sliced tomatoes and cukes are always good. Healthy smoothie, another great option. Smoothies are wonderful because you can add protein powder. I happen to have one here. We could add protein powder to that. We could do our frozen frozen or fresh vegetables. You could do frozen blueberries. You could throw some fresh spinach in there. You could put a little bit of juice or low-fat milk or a non-fat milk that you, or a non-dairy milk, I should say, that you prefer. Whatever liquid you prefer, or even some water. You can put some spices in there, some flaxseed, and you've got a really nice, healthy healthy smoothie that you can have for breakfast, or maybe a quick lunch or a snack. That's always a good option as well. Okay, another great option is taking a potato, a large potato, like a baked potato, putting it in the microwave, splitting it down the center, mushing it up a little bit, and throwing in a little bit of cheese and maybe some scallions. Okay, that's always a good favorite. I used to like that a lot when I was younger. Around your age, another great option that I absolutely love that my mom used to make when we were kids, when we come home for lunch in grade school, was an English muffin pizza. How easy is that? Take a nice multi-grain English muffin, throw some sauce on there, some shredded mozzarella cheese and some grated cheese and whatever little topping that you might want to put on. You've got some nice English muffin pizzas. So dinner options, again, I'm going to make something today that could be considered a dinner option or a lunch option, and beans and greens is another really good option. So beans and greens are great because it's something that's a non-meat product, and if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, all you need is a head of escarole or any green of your choice. You could also easily, very well, do kale. I like the escarole. That tends to be one of my personal favorites. I rinse that off. I take the leaves off of the core. I rinse it up well. I usually do a salad spinner, or I put it between paper towels. I chop that up in small pieces. I get my saute pan going with some olive oil, some extra virgin olive oil. I'll add in some fresh garlic. I saute that for a very short time. I then throw in the escarole or any of the other greens that you choose. It even could be spinach. Spinach cooks down a lot faster. I would recommend sticking with either the escarole or the kale. Putting in a can of beans. Cannellini beans tend to be my favorite in that, but again, you could do chickpeas, you could do black beans, whatever you choose. But cannellini beans are excellent, and they usually come in a low salt variety as well too. I'll drain those and I'll throw that in. And I've got a really nice meal, and I sprinkle a little Parmesan cheese on it, and that would be a really easy non-meat meal for somebody that's looking for something like that. I mentioned earlier the Nature's Place soups are another great option. Pastas with meat sauces, always a good one. You could even do a meat sauce with non-meat. There's a ton of different ground beef varieties out there of non-meat items that you could put on there if you're trying to stay away from meat, or you could do, of course, turkey or ground chicken. Either or works great too. Okay, so stocking up on lower priced foods, another option would be your high protein foods as well. And that would be eggs. Eggs are great hard boiled ahead of time. Okay, so the few things I want to show you today, I know we're getting short on time, is we're taking this picture of cold brew Lipton tea. I happen to use a Lipton brand. Lipton happens to be one of the only brands that I know of that have cold brew variety, so you don't have to worry about any boiling water. I've already got a cup of water in here with the tea bags. I put an extra tea bag in because I like mine kind of strong. I take a whole liter of this seltzer or sparkling water, whatever you choose. They recommend a berry flavor. I have a raspberry lime. I kind of like that lime flavor in there, especially this time of year as it gets warm. So I've already got the tea bags in there. The tea's already been doing its cold brew for about 20 minutes, I think, before you guys got on. I took some fresh lemon and orange, and I squeezed those, and I'm putting the juice of that right into this mixture. Got a little bit of pulp in there too. So juices and zest of those oranges and limes or lemons are a wonderful way to really flavor something. Okay, so we've got the liter of the seltzer. We're going to put 5 fresh basil leaves right in there. Okay, you're going to let that sit. The longer it sits, if you sit for an hour or 2, that's an even better option. And then I can get it, but I'm not going to. And there's fresh ice cubes you can put right in there and let that sit. And it's a wonderful, refreshing drink. And the cold brew comes in a variety of different flavors, I believe. At least the last I checked, they did. Okay, so we've got the cold brew tea. So that's one of the options I wanted to show you today. Another option that won't take too long, I just have, we talked about spinach earlier. Any of the great greens are wonderful, vitamin-packed, wonderful options. I'm going to make a salad. And this salad is called, it's a spinach and quinoa salad with herbs. So I've already got the spinach in here, about 3 cups of spinach. I've got about 3 cups of quinoa, and I use this quinoa here. I used a couple bags of this white quinoa, the one that I just could zap in the microwave. I've got that all mixed up. And then the last thing I'm going to do is make the dressing to go with that. So I have in this bowl, I've got some parsley. You can use dill wheat or parsley. You'll be getting this recipe as well. We're putting in a 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt, a couple tablespoons of white balsamic vinegar. And again, substitute. If you don't have white balsamic, I did not. I used a white wine vinegar, and that's fine. 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt. I took 1/4 cup of shallots that I chopped fine, and I'm going to throw those in there. I'm just going to mix this up. You can whisk it or use a spoon and mix it really well. And this is great. Once this is done, I simply pour this right onto the salad. A mixture of the grain and the spinach. And there's nothing like this mixture because it's going to stay with you a lot longer than if you were to have a plain spinach salad. And then I just take my tongs, or you could take a spoon, and you basically just toss that together. So you've got not only the nice, rich, bright green spinach, you've got a nice mixture of a crunchy quinoa that's been cooked into a creamy salad dressing that we have here. And this recipe, you'll be getting this as well. I believe this recipe actually came, this time I think I used the canola oil mayo, but you could use olive oil as well. That works just as well. And I believe this recipe was found from the Hellman's website, and we really liked it. We've used it in the store as well. The only change in this is I use the spinach versus the kale. So you can do either or in this. So that's all mixed together. So that's another option for a healthy meal. And actually, don't worry, guys. This was supposed to be live. This will not go to waste. This is going to be my side dish tonight to go along with the fish that I'm having. So it won't go to waste. Neither will this. As much as I would love to share it with you today, this is not going to go to waste. The last item I'm going to make, I know we're getting short on time, is a really easy parfait. I've got a parfait glass here, and it's as simple as just taking, I've got about 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt, and I use Greek yogurt a lot. In fact, I probably haven't bought plain yogurt in years. Greek yogurt's come onto the scene, and it's a wonderful way of getting your protein and calcium. And you don't have to worry about, I like the thickness of it. I like a thicker Greek yogurt. I'm not one who like a real thin yogurt, the way the regular yogurt used to be. So I took that, I put that in my parfait glass, and then I took whatever choosing that you'd like of a nice granola. Nature's Promise has several different varieties, and this one I believe has some some cranberry craisins in there. So I'll put a little of that on top. You can do it in any order that you like. Some people then like to mix it all together, but I've got that parfait. I've got the granola there. And the last thing I like to use, I love California walnuts. Most of the walnuts that we get in our stores are California brand. I like to sprinkle a little of those on top. Those are always a nice touch on a parfait. Or you can actually use the Planters Nutrition. It has a really nice wholesome nut mix or any nut mix that you like. But those are really good options. And that's a nice tasty parfait. So we've got our spritzer here, our blueberry spritzer. And I think I forgot to add the blueberries, but I'm going to do that for you right now. Throw about a cup's worth of blueberries in there. And you let that sit for about an hour. And as I said, the flavors will infuse between the basil and the blueberries and the lemon and lime, or the orange and the lemon juice. And also, what I didn't tell you, but I think I might have alluded to this earlier, sometimes I'll just actually grate in the zest from the orange and the lemon. That gives it an even more strong flavor. So we've got that, and then our parfait can be our dessert. It could be a dessert, it could be a breakfast option, it could be a lunch option. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. I'm so glad you guys were able to come and see this demonstration. And I'm really happy to know that you're out there, the 6th through 12th graders. I love to see kids in that group level, age level. So when I return to the store in early July, stop by and see me. I stand over by the meat department. I'll have a little table set up. I won't be having live demos with fresh food yet. We've got to wait on that. But I will be there talking to customers. So feel free to stop in. You have a question, you have a need, you want to possibly consider going through a dietitian for maybe a store tour or maybe a Cub Scout or Girl Scout meeting, we're available to do all of that. And our website is www.hannaford.com/dietitians, and you can find out which dietitian is in which store, and then you can connect with them through email that way. We also have an online dietitian as well, Anne LaRue, and she's wonderful at fielding questions, and if you're not sure if a specific store has a dietitian, you can always go through Anne as well. So I was really happy to be with you today, and I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you, Patty. That was very informative. We do have a couple questions.
Okay.
The first one is, where is the Fresh magazine available?
Very good question. Fresh magazine, depending on what store you're in, I'm in 3 different stores. I think I'm in Del Mar. I'm also in the Cairo store in the Catskills, and I'm in the Guilderland store, and they're sort of different places for different stores. But most of them will have them up at the front desk. And this Fresh magazine is for this month now, May and June. It's got some phenomenal things in here. And it does say it's $3, but most people are not paying. If you're buying something else at the store that day, it will be free. And it's a wonderful group of recipes that you can refer to. Also, Guiding Stars, our Guiding Stars, and I didn't really get a chance to get into Guiding Stars, but Guiding Stars is a wonderful, helpful tool for you when you're picking out foods at the grocery store, star-worthy items. So Guiding Stars will be another place where you can actually go on their website, guidingstars.com, and get a plethora of breakfast, lunch, dinner recipes, including snacks. That would be another option too.
Okay, another question is, can lentils substitute for beans?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mention that when I was talking about the cannellini beans earlier, which I think I was mentioning using those in a beans and greens. Absolutely, lentils work wonders. They work just as well in a recipe, a salad recipe. That's another great option in adding, making a recipe, a salad a little bit more healthful and sustaining. But yes, absolutely, lentils come in a variety of different colors, and you can get them dried. And most people don't know that they also come hydrated in cans now. So you can get them in cans and throw that right into your recipe. That would be another great time-saving thing. They're going to be a little more expensive than if you were buying a bag. The bag needs to be soaked, obviously. When you get anything dry, like dried beans or dried lentils, they will need to be soaked in water. Lentils are one of the ones, though, they're a smaller seed, so to speak, so you don't really need to soak them overnight. Sit them in a pan with a little water over them, maybe for a couple hours prior to using them would work, because they'll start to absorb the water. You'll know that they're soaking up the water and they'll be ready to use. But the canned lentils are an excellent option. Absolutely, those work great in a recipe, and anything that has beans, you could definitely do the lentils. It's going to be a smaller type of legume, but they work great, and they're just as high in fiber and protein as well.
Wonderful. Okay, and then, do we get one more? Oh, how much water should we be drinking daily to stay hydrated? That's a good question.
That's a really good question. You know, healthy hydration happens throughout the summer, especially now, but it really happens all year long. You need to hydrate in the winter as well. So very good question. Healthy hydration is important. It really depends on the person. There's different ways of looking at it. You could either do, the general rule of thumb is between 6 to 8 cups, but there are specific, more scientific ways that you can actually figure out how much water you need based on your current weight. So you could take your current weight, it's getting a little technical here, scientific, divide that by 2.2, and that will give you how many kilos you are. And then you take that and multiply it by 30 cc's. I think it's 30 cc's per kilo. And that will, then you can then divide that and come up with cups, how many cups you need. Because a lot of it is, if you want to get very technical, it is based on your weight, your current weight.
Okay, great. And can you just remind us what that spritzer you made, the full name you had for that?
Oh yes, absolutely. And I think you've got the recipe for that too. This is a blueberry basil spritzer.
Okay, great.
Blueberry basil spritzer, and you can, with any of the cooking or anything I've showed you today, you can easily substitute. For example, for this parfait, I forgot to put the fruit in. That would be nice to have fresh or frozen fruit. The frozen berries work great too in a parfait. But you can mix a lot of things up. That's the best part about cooking, using your imagination. Sometimes we're out of ingredients and we substitute something else and we find that, wow, I think I like the taste of this better than when it had the other ingredient in it. So you can really be creative and imaginative and try different things. But what we also have, some of our Hannafords have kitchens in them. Actually, our Albany store for sure does. And we're always willing to try to do some things even out on our table where we can show you how to cook something. Like one day I showed the group how to cook how to cut a mango, for example. So there's different, we do a lot of different tutorials and things right live on the floor as well.
Cool, great. I think that's all of our questions. So thank you so much, Patty. As Patty mentioned, she does have handouts. I'll be emailing that to everybody in a couple of minutes. And if you're someone who's watching this on YouTube and you would like the handouts, if you want to give the library information desk a call or email, I'd be happy to send them to you too. Great.
And if you're ever in the store, feel free to ask me too. If there's something more that you want other than what's been provided handout-wise, we have a plethora of recipes that we can share with you too.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Patty. Thank you everyone else for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.